All right. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump is set to make a stop in the South Bronx tonight at 6 o'clock, right on the doorstep of AOC's district, where no Republican presidential candidate has won that district in 100 years.
Thousands of supporters are expected to turn out as a new Siena poll has the former president now within single digits of President Biden in the Empire State.
Left-wing demonstrations are already being planned to try and counter the former president's visit, like that poster that you see right there, seen circulating on social media, claiming that Trump is, quote, not welcome in the Bronx.
Well, somebody who is welcome in the Bronx is Rachel Campos-Duffy. You know her from the Weekend Show, and she was out in the Bronx yesterday just essentially taking the temperature of the neighborhood to see how people are going to receive former president.
Absolutely. I stood on a corner, walked up and down a street with our crew, and just talked to dozens of people.
Is it similar to Wisconsin, where you came from?
No? I'm an Arizona girl originally.
Okay,
so,
good.
You know. Listen, here's what was interesting. I mean, there's no question that the Bronx is a solidly blue area. But when things get bad, people are more loyal to their neighborhood. They're more loyal to their family. And that's what the sense that I got. There's also a pride in the Bronx, you know. I know AOC said, you know, Donald Trump, you know, it's an embarrassment that he has to go to the Bronx, you know. These people took that offensively. Right. They're happy he's coming down. They want him to see what's going on. They want him to get a temperature. And that's the thing. You're seeing these polls that show Hispanics and African Americans moving towards Trump. It just feels like data.
Right.
You go into this, you go there, you actually talk to the people. It really brings it home. You really feel that the polls are right. And I think Donald Trump is going to be very pleasantly surprised by how welcomed he is in the South Bronx. Take a look.
I see Democrats now coming out, and they're like, oh, Trump is not welcomed here. Who are you?
I think he should definitely come to the neighborhood.
He should come. He should check out the people because, see, Trump is for the little man.
Donald Trump is coming to the Bronx. Are the other boroughs going to be jealous?
I don't know, but I hope so. Trump is doing something that no one else has done. He's giving such a respect to the Bronx.
Before Trump, you know, it was not really considered. Like, would they really go into the Democratic strongholds? Would they really go into the poor neighborhoods?
One of the very important things that I wish the Republicans would understand is that even though you have, and you look at the registers and you see how many registered Democrats are in the Bronx, and you say 80, 90% are all Democrats, not all Democrats vote Democrat. I happen to be one of those Democrats that hasn't voted Democrat since the age of Ronald Reagan.
I've been intrigued by the impact of the trial of Donald Trump. And as a Hispanic myself, it looks familiar to a lot of things we've seen in Latin America.
Absolutely. I know a lot of friends of mine that are Cuban, and they're frustrated.
Yeah.
Cubans, you got Nicaraguans, they see this in their country. That's why they left.
I happen to be one that I'm still asking, what is he being charged with? What is he being charged with? I'm still trying to figure that out. And so I think it's not just me, because, you know, we're not dummies, okay? Even though Democrats sometimes treat us like we're dummies.
People that weren't interested in politics, now they're watching a sham trial. They're watching all these things happen, and they're just like, what is going on?
That is good. Rachel, I know a number of New Yorkers appreciate Donald Trump because he's a New Yorker. And even though he now lives in Florida, but he understands what it's like to be in New York City.
Yeah, they feel like he's one of them. And he chose their area, their neighborhood, to come visit. And, you know, you see all the organizers out there putting up posters saying, you're not welcome here, Donald Trump. I did not get 1 ounce of that from when I was down there. I was literally shocked by how open-armed they are. And by the way, some of these people mentioned the trial. The trial, I think, is a double-edged sword for the Democrats, especially with Hispanics. It's like, you know, you have them trapped here in this kangaroo court. Guess what?
It's an icebox.
Yeah, some of them are noticing that it's a kangaroo court. And if you're from Latin America, you've seen the politicization, the weaponization of the justice system against opponents in this way. You left those countries because of that kind of corruption and Marxism, frankly, and they're seeing it happen here, and they're not dumb. I know maybe a lot of Democrats think that this is, that they're setting some sort of narrative here. People are seeing, as she said, we can't even figure out what he's guilty of. And then they said to me, He's on trial there. We got problems here. We've got crime like we've never seen before, and it's because of the open border, which was another shock to me, is how much the border policies were mentioned almost
it's costing,
universally by everybody.
We got about 82,000 people here illegally. We are housing and feeding.
Yeah.
We're trying to kick them out after 30, 60 days, and they're not leaving.
Well, they're not on the Upper East Side.
Right.
They're going to the Bronx.
Right, and they're taking over the parks where their kids play.
That's exactly right. And that's what they said. They said, you know, our service, we're poor. This is a working class, poor neighborhood, and our services are being strained, or they're literally cutting our own services and giving it to other people who came here illegally. So that was really an interesting thing. And they're associating the rise in crime to Alvin Bragg, but also to many of the illegals.
Let's see if the president keeps it short and crisp tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be very interesting to see how he does it.
6 o'clock tonight. It's in a park in the Bronx called Crotona Park. Lawrence is going to go up there. He's interviewing the former president.
You know what they told me? Some of them said it's epic that he's coming. Others said es épico. So they, you know, in Spanish and English, they're saying this is historic. Thank you for coming to our district, or to our area. So I think it's going to be a very interesting thing to see today, and it will be great if Lawrence actually, you know, gets a chance to interview some of these counter protesters to see if they're AstroTurf. Because what I saw was if they're from the Bronx, they're open. They're open to ear, open armed right now.
And we put up that poster that showed the organizers.
Yeah.
Over a dozen and a half different organizations.
Yeah.
If they don't wind up with a bigger crowd than Donald Trump,
It'd be embarrassing.
It would be embarrassing for them because they've got the entire New York City area with a lot of people at their disposal.
There's a lot of dark money funding these kind of protests. It's the same kind of stuff. This is the same group that came, you know, with BLM and so forth. This is George Soros funded. That's who's behind this. The people on the street are saying, come, see what it's like here. Listen to us. And they're so honored that somebody like the President of the United States, who they consider an outsider and a new fellow New Yorker, is coming to their neighborhood.
I don't want to make this all about me, but it's just the same week that the Pope takes shots at the Irish and the Italians, immigrants. At the same time, President Trump is giving such respect to the Hispanic community. There's a big dichotomy.
There is.
Well, if you look at the
Pope was talking about whiskey.
Because he said the Irish brought whiskey to America and the Italians brought the mob.
mafia.
I mean, those are all my people.
That's the shot.
Right. It's unbelievable.
Hey, Rachel, thank you very much. I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.